So, Professor, we did a video on the things that weekend warriors do that drive charter boat captains crazy. And let me tell you, the internet was not happy with us.
No, it was not.
They were just giving it to us, which in some ways is deserved, because if we had done that video the right way, we'd have really painted it on both sides. But hey, I mean, it got a lot of conversation, which is good. And we've got to share some with you, because in this video, we're going to just reverse it around, because for those of you that wanted your pound of flesh, now we're going to have it, right? We're going to talk about the things that the world says drives them crazy about charter captains. I got to read some of the comments that you left here. I mean, there's some pretty funny comments here, Professor. This one guy, he says, been on the water for over 50 years. In that time, probably 80% of the a-holes I see are either charter boats or commercials. All of them think they own the water. And what they think they think the fact that they're getting paid is an excuse to do any or all of the situations that you went over. And of course, the things that we went over, just some of those common etiquette things that we see.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? And this is a tricky video for you, because you've gone from, and by the way, when I said weekend warrior, I was throwing myself in that category, because that's really what I am. You've converted from weekend warrior. And I don't see how weekend warriors is a bad phrase. It's just like, you know, you're trying to do that. We don't say it in a negative way. You've converted from that person to now becoming a full-time charter boat captain, right? And so you've been able to see this on both sides of the coin. So when someone says, you know, 80% of them are the charter boats or the commercial boats, what do you think about that?
Well, you know, like you say, it's a touchy subject for me, but there is some truth to that matter. You know what I mean? It's just, you feel like when it's your job, there's a lot more pressure to put your clients on the fish. So a lot of times you'll just push the envelope
maybe a little bit too far. Let me read you another comment here. This one's really interesting. U.S. Coast Guard veteran here. I have operated on both oceans, the Great Lakes and the Gulf of Mexico. Charter captains are often the most reckless and dangerous boaters on the water. Never assume any of these credit card captains know what they're doing. It's incredibly easy to get a 6-pack license.
Yeah. Well, I believe it is today. It wasn't the case when I got my captain's license.
What's changed?
Well, I believe that you can do it online by yourself now. And I'm not exactly sure about that, but I'm pretty sure that you can take the whole course, the test, and everything online. And mine was different. I had to sit in the classroom for a certain amount of hours, you know, to sit there and take a manual test. And it was a lot to it. We had to learn the navigation side of it, how to navigate on a chart and stuff like that. And I'm glad I did. I learned a lot.
Right.
You know what I mean? There's a lot more to the whole, you know, marine nautical world than the average person realizes. And I mean, you're supposed to be able to look at a ship or a tugboat off in the distance, and by his light combination, you're supposed to be able to tell whether he's towing a stern or a side, or I mean, it's just a lot of things that you learn, and you learn a lot of the proper etiquette there too.
Yeah.
And through the rules of the road part. But
you know, it's interesting. The biggest reason why we made that video is because when I got started and you were mentoring me here in the Outer Banks, I didn't want to do something wrong.
yeah.
And because I was that weekend warrior, and because I was ignorant of a lot of things, the reason why we made that video wasn't to say regular boaters are dumb, but it was to say, hey, listen, if you were like I was 4 years ago when we started offshore fishing together, that they don't make the mistakes that I would have made, or in some of which I did make, right? Especially when you were not with me, that caused me some embarrassment, or just, man, that was dumb. And it's not always etiquette. A lot of times it's just ignorance.
Yeah.
You just don't necessarily know what you should be doing.
Yeah.
And of course, you know, I've learned some of those things. The classic case of ignorance is putting the spotlight on the boat in front of you, because you don't realize how that's affecting their ability to see. That is an ignorant mistake. It's not you weren't exercising etiquette. You were just didn't know any better.
Yeah, when you use the term, it's not that ignorant, not that person is dumb.
Right, it's just like you don't know.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. Yeah. So I came up with a list of just some things that charter captains do, not all, some. Nobody get offended here, all right? Not that anybody ever gets offended on the YouTubes, Professor, because nobody's ever left us a negative comment.
Right.
And here are just a few of the things. We're just going to do a lightning round, a very quick lightning round of things that charter captains. And by the way, this applies to all. Once again, this applies to all. But today we're picking on charter captains like the professor here, even though he doesn't do these things. Okay. Taking over prime fishing spots could happen.
Could happen. Yeah.
It could happen. It could happen. Monopolizing the dock. In other words, just grabbing the best places on the dock and not giving other boats the ability to get in. What do you think about that?
I don't know about that.
I think that's first come, first serve.
Yeah.
I think that's navigating with aggression or cutting too close to other boats.
I can see that one. Just because it's just like if you're used to driving a sports car,
yeah,
you push that sports car to the limit a
right.
lot because you're familiar with it.
Right.
Same thing with a boat. You're familiar with your boat. You push it to the limits. You know how close you can get to something and someone without.
Well, and to your point, and this isn't an excuse, but to your point, this could be the way the ocean works. The one shot that day, they had to prevent a skunk and to give that crew of passengers an incredible memory.
Yeah.
And so because of that, that's the moment when you tend to take more risk. Doesn't make it right.
Doesn't make it right.
But it does make it human.
That's right.
Right? And so, okay. Radio communication. Some people say the captains talk too much on the radio. Some say they don't talk enough, or some say they use stations that nobody can pick up on and hear. What do you think about that?
All the above is true.
I don't know if it's necessarily bad.
No, it's not.
Now, I would say one thing that bothered me a little bit. I remember I got on the radio a few times at the beginning, and I was just talking to somebody, and immediately the charter captain started hitting the button, saying, you know how they do it here. I don't know if this is an OBX thing or everywhere, but they hit the button a bunch of times, as in, hey, if you don't have anything important to say, you need to get off the radio, which is actually true, and I think that's the way it should be. But on those slow dog days of summer, man, sometimes on the main station, them captains will be talking about everything but fishing.
That's right.
And it'll be like football games, politics. I mean, it'll just go and go. And at that point, so they give each other a lot more leniency than they would give somebody like myself, the classic weekend warrior. So that one's true. That one's true. Launching like they own the boat ramp. We don't have that issue here with the sport fishers, but you see that in Florida a lot. What do you think about that? Launching like they own the boat ramp?
I've actually caught myself doing this, and even though I run very minimum charters on my small boat, I'll pull up to the boat ramp and I'll see the person getting out and getting all of his stuff straight. Well, it takes me literally 4 minutes at the boat ramp, if that, to launch my boat and be in it. And I have found myself driving around people.
Because you know it's going to take them 25 minutes and they're not fully prepared.
Right.
Whereas
it's just not something that they do all day, every day. You know what I mean? They're not just familiar with it. So, I can see that too.
Yeah, okay. All right. Blowing by smaller boats or just smaller vessels, etc., especially on rough seas. What do you think about that?
Yeah, well, I can see that too from some captains, but I also have witnessed a lot of these captains around here have slowed down for smaller boats. And it just pretty much depends on the person.
Yeah, it was like, you see around here, they do the dolphin tours. We always go by them every day, and we slow down, and we might have missed it the first time. We didn't know what was going on, but now, I'm not saying you missed it, but it's like I probably would have missed that. But now I realized, we want to give them a good experience. They're on their, pontoon boat or whatever it is, and we don't want to rock the boat around. But, you see a lot of boaters just do this when it comes to blown by marinas too close, and somebody's at the gas, at the fuel dock. Yeah. And that's just a common problem with boating in general. But I could see that being an issue with the really large boats. Yeah. That could be an issue. Let me see here. Anchoring too close.
Yeah, a lot of people's perception might be different on what too close is.
Yeah, that really does vary.
Yeah, because when you wreck fishing or something like that, as long as you're not bumping, it's not too close, because that's a different kind of fishery. You know what I mean? It's just normal. You have to be in the spot to catch the fish. You can't be 100 yards off the spot. So in some instances, you have to be close, and it's perfectly acceptable. But some people do push the envelope on that too.
Yeah. Final one here. Priority at local fish cleaning stations.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that should be the case.
It is.
Actually.
Yep.
And there's a reason, because those fish cleaning stations, who keeps them really, like, who gives them a job, that is the charters.
It's their everyday business.
Yes.
Yeah, your once a week business or once every 2 weeks business.
Right.
They're gonna tend to the hand that feeds them every day.
Yeah. I get that one. I see this from both sides. And somebody said in one of the comments too, is like, this really could have been a video, because we talked mainly about etiquette in the last video we did about this.
Yeah.
This could have been for both sides, charters and for regular, weekenders. True, 100% true. 100%. And all the things that apply to best practices on the water apply to both sides. Yeah. But we wanted to even the score, and we wanted to make sure that those that were fired up can now rest in peace. Yeah. And we can all still be friends.
And it's different in different areas. Here in the Carolinas,
yeah.
I mean, you got that Southern hospitality. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
These guys, of course, they all have their cliques and their inner circle and stuff like that. Right. And if you're just the average Joe that fishes, for fun, you're not going to be in that. But that still doesn't mean you should not get the same respect, because you spend your hard-earned money to go out on the water, to buy your boat, put fuel in your boat, all the tackle and stuff like that. And no one owns the water. You deserve to be there just as much as anybody else does.
Wise words, and I think we'll end with those words. And hopefully now you've heard both ends of it. We would love to hear your comments. Go ahead, put your comments in there. We know you got them. We'd love to hear them, good, bad, or ugly. Everybody says, Marcus, you talk too much, and everybody says Ron is we want to hear more of Ron. Okay, all right, the professor here, we heard. We're doing the best we can.
We can, yeah, we are.
We're doing the best we can. And we do the best we can when we go fishing. We want you to go fishing with us. And so make sure you book a trip with this guy. Let's go offshore and exercise great etiquette on both sides. On both sides. SpeechlessSportFishing.com, slip number 92, here at Pirates Cove Marina in Manteo, North Carolina. Until the next time, everyone, stay salty.